Okay, I wanted to put together a little bit of an order for the underclassmen for when you are filling out your paperwork for FAFSA. This is the order which you should apply for and then accept aid. So scholarships and grants are where we want to try to get the bulk of our money for paying for our university. Um, it's free money, so it's money that does not need to be paid back. And once again, scholarships are merit based and they could be academic, they could be athletic. Grants are needs based. So these are the first ones we want to go for. Again, they require nothing more than filling out paperwork um, in order to get the money. So it operates on a first come first serve basis. So if you're not first in line, they could be out of funds by the time they get to you. All right, next we're going to go to work study. Now, work study could change a lot in a post-COVID world, where if the campuses aren't opening up, it might be difficult to actually get paid for work study. But work study was something I did when I went to school, and it would be odd jobs that I would go to the work study program at the university. Um, they would tell me what's available. I try and figure out what my academic schedule was, and wherever I could fit in work in my schedule. You wouldn't make a lot, but it was some kind of income. So I worked at the athletic center. I worked as a campus escort where I'd walk people home from a library. So I'd actually get to wait around and study, and I'd wait for a call for someone to walk them home. Because Baltimore at night was kind of a scary place sometimes. There were other people I knew that were working in the cafeteria, washing dishes, cleaning trays, and things like that. So wherever you could make a little extra money, it definitely helped out. But again, those positions, those funds are a little bit tight. So make sure you apply for them as quickly as possible. Now, the last three are all going to be loans. And the order we're going to want to go in is federal student loans. Those are subsidized student loans. They offer lower interest rates, and the interest rates do not start to accrue until after your graduation. So they're going to be the lower stress loans that you may have. Now, then you're going to apply for loans from your state. They're also going to have some better terms that you might find than a private loan, but may not be as favorable terms as the Fed. But again, you're going to want to apply for those as early as possible because those funds can run out. Now, the last area where the funds probably won't run out, but they're the most expensive, private loans. So if I can't meet the funding for my entire year based off of scholarship, grants, work study, federal loans, and state government loans, then we're going to have to look for private. Private are the most expensive. They start charging interest immediately. One of the things you may need to do is get a cosigner in order to lower at least some of the interest cost, or somehow come up with collateral in order for this, which is going to be quite difficult. So those private loans can be very expensive, and they're the last things that we're going to want to use to finance our education. Now, one thing I do want to say about the FAFSA application, it is extraordinarily long. It's almost like doing your taxes. Many of the questions are going to be pretty plain vanilla, like your birth date, social security number, where do you live, yada, yada, yada. It's when you start to get into um, uh, talk about income, your family income, and what they think your family should be able to afford. Um, they're going to talk about net worth. All right, net worth we know is assets minus liability, but not all assets should be included in this calculation. It should be assets that can be somewhat liquid, all right, and can be sold and used to fund education. Real estate is usually excluded from this, or at least the home that you live in is excluded from this, and retirement accounts. So these funds have a tax advantage, and they're supposed to be left there until you retire. So 401ks, if you try to access them early, Then there's going to be tax implications. IRAs, both traditional and Roth, and even Keogh. Those have tax advantages. If we try to access them early, there would be implications. Annuities, okay, those are things that you can purchase for retirement income, and also the cash value of insurance policies. All of these would be exempt from calculating your net worth. So if you were to throw all these values into that calculation, the FAFSA will think you can afford to pay more than you actually can. Okay, so yeah, your checking account will go into your net worth, your savings account, brokerage account, things like that. But none of these retirement accounts should factor in. Now, one thing we should talk about too with your 529 is going to what is in your account is going to impact what the FAFSA thinks you can pay for on your own. So if we had an example of if I have 100,000 in my 529, okay, then they think 25% of this, if it's in my account, 25% of this or 25,000 is what I should be able to use to fund a year's worth of education. Now, they're also going to take, if you have a younger sibling, let's say your sibling also has 100,000 in their account. I should preface this that state schools, they're pretty ironclad, but private schools have their own funding formulas, so these numbers can be different. But if they are going to factor in 5.6%, so 5,600 of what's in your sibling's account, okay, because one of the reasons is we don't even know if your sibling's going to school. They might go to trade school, they might go to junior college, they might go right into the workforce. So what's in their account could also be used to fund your education. It's very easy to transfer funds within sibling accounts. And if you have any money left over after your education, it's very easy to pass it to a younger sibling. So since these rules are in effect where you can move money back and forth quite easily, by the time you're getting ready to apply for the FAFSA, it might be a good idea to transfer a bulk of this down here to lower your what the FAFSA thinks you can afford. Because again, it's 25% of whatever's sitting in your account versus 5.6% of what's sitting in a younger sibling's account. So move this here temporarily. We can always move it back later to fund the later years of our application. Now, we do have to apply every October for this. So just keep this in mind as you start to put your plan together.